All right, welcome to Catholic Views. In the studio with me today, I have Father Shaun Haggerty back again. He was with us recently. Well, I don't know if it'll be recently or not, because I don't know when this one will air.
Yeah.
But he was with us somewhat recently, and we wanted to have him back again to talk about his own story as a priest and how he came to be a priest. So thanks for being here today, Father Haggerty.
It's great to be here, Renee.
Yeah, you are currently the pastor at St. Lambert's in Sioux Falls, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
How long
yes.
have you been there?
I've completed, it'll be, 3 years in July. So,
Okay.
So for sure, 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm banking on a lot longer than that. So
You're enjoying that parish, aren't you?
Yes. Yep.
And the people, there's quite a number of St. Lambert's parishioners who work in the diocesan offices, as you probably know.
Oh, yeah.
And they love their parish, and they seem to love you.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything bad except from for Bergwald, so.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, Chris Bergwald. Oh.
He's just a troublemaker over
Yeah,
here.
isn't he going to be talking later on this program?
Yes.
He'll be visiting.
Well, probably before you, but yeah.
Oh, before me. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, he loves you.
He's as good as gold. He's in my parish council, so I like to tease
good.
him a lot. So.
Yeah. Good. So you know all about the trouble part.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we are going to talk today just about you a little bit. Will you start by telling us a little bit about your family, where you grew up, that kind of easy stuff?
Yeah. So I come from a small town in the northeast corner of the state, Sisseton, South Dakota.
Really? You're from Sisseton? Okay.
Yep. So I can go to North Dakota in about 10, 15 minutes, or Minnesota, 10 to 15 minutes. You know, growing up, we'd go up to Fargo to shop a lot.
I bet.
Or my grandma lived in Browns Valley, Minnesota. So we go to Minnesota often, and just a beautiful area of lakes and some rolling hills. And
it's a little cold up there, but...
Yeah, it's kind of the Bermuda Triangle, a little bit of South Dakota. The weather's, you never know quite what the weather's going to do.
Right.
And but that's where I grew up and born and raised there. My father and mother had 5 of us kids. So I have 2 older brothers that are 12 and 11 years older than I am.
Oh, okay. Big gap there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And then my sister, she is about 5 years older than me. And my twin brother and I are the babies at the very end. So
way to end it with twins. Oh boy.
Yeah.
And notice they stopped after you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah. No, Mom,
we obviously got them perfect. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but I think it was pretty stressful for them raising twins.
Oh, I bet.
And twin boys at that. But our older brothers were a real blessing to us. They stepped in and were kind of like secondary fathers to my twin brother and I. And really, growing up, I wanted to be just like my older brothers.
Sure.
You know, they spent a lot of time with us. They would, get us gifts and just really, taught us how to throw the football and baseball and, how to work on bicycles, how to work on cars, how to do construction work. And we learned a lot of that stuff, mowing lawns, all those type of things from our older brothers. So that's the family setting, 5 of us kids. And then, growing up, my father was Catholic. My mother was not. My mother comes from a family of, she was in foster care right around 3 to 4 years of age.
Okay.
Because her father had died.
Oh,
He was driving drunk and got in a car accident and died. And he's abusive too, and whatnot. And wasn't a very good situation. And,
sure.
And anyhow, so she went into foster care. Then her mother wanted to have her back, but couldn't really function to be able to take care of them because she's got, they had 7 kids together.
Yeah. And
so make a long story short, mother was in and out of foster care, different families, wanted to be adopted as life kind of went on, and she realized she couldn't be with her mother, but never was adopted.
Oh.
And it was just her and her sister, Darlene, who she was very, very close to.
Sure.
And but mom, through it all, was in 9 different families growing up.
Oh, wow.
And so, you kind of have that background there, too, with mother and how that's also impacted, my own family life as well. So, and my dad is a Vietnam vet, so he served in Vietnam, and, he was trained to be a cook, but they needed volunteers. My dad, he loves to serve. He's always happiest when he can help someone else out. And so they needed volunteers in the medical unit. So he said, I'll volunteer. And so he was then, receiving people in the helicopters, bringing in the wounded and having no training with that, and So there's that reality too of my father in Vietnam and whatnot. But
Sure.
so those are my parents, and mother was not Catholic. Dad was Catholic, and would take us to church every single Sunday. We knew faith was most important. And before my dad didn't go to church every single Sunday, he didn't take our siblings to church or even my sister to church. But
Wow.
But going back to our earlier show on Father's Day, all three of them really don't keep the faith. They're getting more and more with that. They still call themselves Catholic, but as far as practicing it, Sunday Mass and confession and things of that nature, it's not really there. But
So it made a big difference for you and your brother.
yeah. But when we were growing up, we went to Mass every single Sunday. We never ever missed.
Yeah.
And so.
So did you go to college after you were done with high school? Like, did you do something before you went to seminary?
Yeah, I went off to Northern State University.
Okay.
And I was going to be a math teacher and coach football and track. That's what I wanted to do.
I can see that in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed college, tremendously so. And when I went off to college, my faith was not really that serious to me. Make a big long story short, my twin brother went on a search retreat his junior year of high school for confirmation. I was supposed to go too, but I skipped out because I wanted to work at a little local restaurant.
Sure.
And make money and be able to purchase things that I wanted and whatnot.
Right.
And so I almost didn't get confirmed. And the pastor at the time said, since you're praying every single day, we'll let you get confirmed. And so I got confirmed. But my brother went on this retreat. He came back all on fire for God, and he didn't want to party anymore because we were big partiers. We'd, unfortunately go, drinking and things of this nature, go to parties and stuff. And but when he came back from this retreat our junior year, he didn't want to do any of that stuff anymore. And he wanted to live his life for God. I thought he got brainwashed. I thought that he got, tricked into being some kind of a Jesus freak.
This stuff is always funny to me when priests say these kinds of things because now you're a priest.
Yeah. So, so he came back all on fire for God.
Yeah.
And eventually I began to see in his own life the peace that was in his own life. And we were twins, so we're always like this. But as he began to follow the Lord more fully, I felt like he was leaving me in the dust as far as having more peace in his life, more confidence in his life, more joy in his life, more freedom in his life. And I wanted that in my own personal life.
Yeah.
And as twins, we were just like this the whole time. The only thing that's different is he's taking his faith seriously. And we share a room together. We live together. We do all things together. And he started going to daily Mass every single morning when he came back from the retreat. So I said, hey, can I come to Mass with you too? Sure. And so we would go to daily Mass every single day. This is the second half of our junior year. And then my senior year of high school, I decided I'm not going to, go to the parties anymore. So for homecoming, it was really hard for me to not go to any of the parties. And just, I remember sitting in my bed in my bedroom on homecoming before the football game. We were both football players. And I remember just feeling really just sad and disappointed and like, boy, Lord, this is what it is to follow you. I'm just going to be all alone
stinks,
and have no real friends that, everyone else is going out and partying and stuff. And but then that night in our homecoming game, I was the snapper, my brother was the kicker, and there's 7 seconds left, and we were down by 1 point, and it was like a 35-yard field goal on the right hash. It's a pretty difficult field goal in high school to make.
Sure.
So we got called in as a field goal team, snapped it, my brother kicked it, we ran it through the uprights, we won the homecoming football game, and it was just a tremendous gift that I said, all right, Lord, following you isn't so bad. You're going to provide, even though I didn't go to all the parties and stuff that I used to do, or I feel a little lonely now.
Right.
That you're going to provide in other ways that I can't necessarily see. So then going off to college at Northern State, it was kind of the question again, do I go back into the partying scene to make friends and whatnot, or do I really take my faith seriously? And thankfully, I roomed with my twin brother, who's very on fire for the faith, and he went to daily Mass every single day, and so I was doing that with him as well. And sometimes I would go, sometimes I wouldn't go. And I remember him going off to Mass, and we're studying for a test, and I was just really surprised that he went to Mass even though we had a test, because we were like straight A students, and we really wanted to do well and whatnot. And it was quite a sacrifice for him to close his book to go to Mass. That really said something to me about the importance of our faith. And so he left, and then I kind of thought to myself, I was doing research on a paper and I was quoting scripture from my paper, and it talked about St. Paul running so as to win the race. And I thought, I need to go run to Mass. So then I closed my book and I ran off to go to daily Mass at the Newman Center there at Northern State University up in Aberdeen, and never really looked back after that.
Wow.
And my brother ended up going to a seminary visit, mainly because in the Jubilee year of Rome, Bishop Carlson at the time was giving out free trips to go to World Youth Day for those who wrote. He would give out one to a boy, one to a girl for those who wrote the best essay about why Christ is so important to them in their life. And my brother had won the trip to go to Rome in the Jubilee year for the World Youth Day. And I thought, man, this is, Shane's pretty cool. He's really, there's a lot of great things going on with him. And so then he became on the diocesan radar, if you will, as far as like potential seminary vocation, And Wayne Shea was the vocations assistant director at the time, helping out Bishop Carlson. And so he invited Shane to come on a seminary visit. And I went on a seminary visit. And
at the same time?
Yeah. My freshman year of college. And I thought, no way, this is not for me. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have about 6-7 kids. I'm going to be math teacher and stuff. And I was really ignorant of what seminary was because I thought, seminary, this is where you said to be priest. I didn't really realize it until I was actually there. I was just going because Shane was going, and so I learned a lot about that. But then that was in the fall of my freshman year of college, and then my spring year, I took and met a seminarian who was doing a pastoral year in the parish there in Aberdeen.
Okay.
And
that's usually their year before they're ordained, right?
Yep. So anyhow, I met him, and I just really had so much fun hanging out with him. He invited us to go chaperone on a ski trip. And eventually, by the end of my freshman year, I thought, I really need to look at the seminary. And
it's so funny just what God does in your life to help you kind of find your way to that, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, it's just really interesting. I think that's why people love to hear these stories.
Yeah. So then my freshman year, I thought, boy, I really want to go to the seminary. Where's the door? I want in. And I thought, well, this is way too fast. I'm going to take at least one more year of college. And during that whole time, it just seemed like God was continually saying, I want you to shepherd my people. I want you to be my priest. And I remember going, because we were going to daily Mass every single day. I remember going to daily Mass at St. Mary's in Aberdeen one morning and being at the back of the church, going into the church, going down the aisle for Holy Communion, and having this sense that God said to me, I want you to be the shepherd of these people. I want you to shepherd them. And so I kind of took that to heart. And then later on, as I'm doing the seminary and application, they wanted to know where my parents got married. Where did they get married? At St. Mary's in Aberdeen, the exact same parish. And as they walked down that aisle, they knew their vocation.
Right.
And I walked down that aisle, and
That's pretty cool.
God made my vocation present to me.
Yeah.
Of what He wanted for me.
So it's a pretty obvious call for you.
Yeah. And then
at that moment.
Yeah. And then actually, when I decided to finally call the bishop to say, hey, I want to apply, I looked in the bishop's bulletin to only find out he's coming tomorrow. You're
like, great. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. So I got to meet with him personally, and he gave me an application. And
very cool.
And so then I went off to St. John Vianney Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was there for 3 years because I'd already had 2 years of college.
Right.
And it was a great blessing. That was when Father Bear was there, who was reforming the whole seminary at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And the seminary was very small at the time, and it had grown quite a bit by the time I got done with that. But as a seminarian, I was a perfect seminarian, straight A's and did everything just the way it's supposed to do it, and was basically perfect in a way. That's what actually was told to me by the rector. He said, Father, Shaun, you're just like perfect.
Yeah.
In every area, and but I wasn't very joyful. I wasn't very happy.
Huh.
And so then I went and did a spirituality program, IPF, down in Omaha, and really talked to God about that. Why is there not a lot of joy? Why is there not a lot of peace as I'm doing all these things? And the Lord just told me, He says, you love me, but you don't let me love you.
Oh, wow.
And that was
There had to be a little bit of a kick in the gut. Just a little.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just that. And then so that was really, then that was kind of the second part of seminary, really.
Sure.
and really throughout my life is allowing God to love you. That's something that I retreat. I just got done doing down in Broomtree about a month ago, and but letting God love you, how important that is.
Yeah.
And so after that, I went into theology down in Denver, Colorado, because I spent 4 years there at St. John Vianney Seminary there. And as I was there, about 2 years in, I got to the point where, all right, Lord, you're really going to have to make it clear to me you want me to be a priest, because right now I feel like I'm probably called, but I don't feel like a really strong call.
Yeah. I might need a lightning bolt, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Because when I entered seminary, it was only like 50-50. Maybe I'll be a priest, maybe I won't be. And so when I was at St. Paul or St. John Vianney Seminary in Denver, and I did a 30-day retreat over the summer, it was before I become a deacon. I really prayed for that grace. Lord, I want you to show me how much you love me, and then also I want you to show me that you really call me to be a priest.
Right.
And as I made those prayers, he made it very evident in that retreat that I was supposed to be his priest, and that he loved me tremendously. And it's hard to put into words.
Sure.
And it's hard to put in a program what'll happen, but just suffice it to say, very much felt loved by God, tremendously so. Something I even go back to, on a regular basis. Even today, it's been almost 20 years ago now. But continually to go back to that place of being loved by God, and then also being chosen to be his priest and to serve him in that way. And so that being said, the next 2 years I was full bore, full speed ahead. Let's go and be the priest the Lord wants me to be. And got ordained in 2009, and served the Holy Spirit for 2 years. Served at Sacred Heart in Aberdeen for 2 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is kind of my second alma mater. Just so you know,
that makes sense because of Northern and everything.
Northern. My parents
eventually
moved to Aberdeen too. And then I served as a seminarian there, and then I also served as a priest there. So I have a lot of love for the people up in Aberdeen. Yep. And though I can't get up there as much as I'd like to.
Right. We keep you busy down here.
And then after that, I went to St. George in Hartford for a year as pastor. And I was associate vocations director as well as chaplain of a Gorman High School. And then became vocations director, and did that for 5 years, but 6 years total in vocations. And then been pastor at St. Lambert for the last 3 years. So that's 12 years. Yeah,
that is a great story. I just love hearing the priest stories because it's so interesting. Your brother did not become a priest, right?
No, he didn't. He thought about going back to seminary. He's my best friend. We talk all the time. And but he got married about, it'll be 3 years in November.
Sure.
And him and his wife, they got busy really quick. They got 2 kids, and they're already talking about a third, and they haven't been married 3 years yet. So
I just find it so interesting that he was really on fire. It looked like he was maybe going to be the priest, and you're like, heck no, I'm going to get married. And it became just the opposite. God does weird things.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone in the family thought he was going to be the priest, not me.
Yeah. All right, so we don't have a lot of time left. Can you, somewhat briefly, tell me what's your favorite part of being a priest?
Favorite part of being a priest is close relationship with Jesus.
Okay, good.
So having that, being chosen by him to do what he asks me to do.
Yeah, great. And the other thing I really want to ask you, because I think this is important for other men out there who might be considering the priesthood. If a young man, or even maybe not a young man, comes to you and says, I think I might be hearing a call to the priesthood, or I'm thinking about going to seminary, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Well, what I've given to fathers, pray. Make sure you're praying.
Yeah.
You have to have a prayer life. If you don't pray, then you're not going to hear what God's telling you.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. And then the other piece is to go visit a seminary. If you've never visited a seminary before, go and visit. We always have the fall seminary visits or spring seminary visits. And that'll help you give a better sense of what you should be doing. And then the other thing is, you don't need to be for sure you're called to be a priest.
Right.
By going to the seminary. When I went, I was only 50-50. What I heard the Lord say to me is, give me this chance. You might not be called to be a priest or not. But I felt like I really had to do that if
Yeah.
I was really going to give God a fair chance
Sure.
of what he wanted. And otherwise, I'd always kind of question, was I really supposed to be a priest or not?
Yeah.
So-
I think it's good to answer that question if you can. And seminary is a great place to do that. That's the point of it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. And, about 1/3 of the guys that go to seminary actually become priests. So,
Right. Right.
So it's a discernment process.
Yeah. And it's okay to go and then decide not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just become a way better man.
Yes.
Well, you become, I won't say a way better man. You become a better man because you can become a way better man without it. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but it's a great way to learn more about your faith and more about yourself and your relationship with God.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's a great, like my twin brother, he's incredibly blessed because he went to seminary too. I don't know
Right.
if I mentioned that, but
Yep.
he when he graduated minor seminary, he went on to go on and he became a professional dancer and he got into banking and things like that. But then I went on to seminary.
Yeah.
So he would say he was blessed tremendously
Yeah.
through his experience of being in the seminary.
I bet so. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for that part, at least. So,
Yeah.
Father Haggerty, thank you so much for telling us your story. I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's always great to hear those stories and how our priests came to be.
Yeah, and hopefully everyone realizes that they all have their own story of God working in their life. And as you pray, you can begin to connect the dots in your own life.
Yeah. Listen for it.
Yeah, if I
Listen.
wasn't praying, I wouldn't have any of this story.
Oh, no, not at all.
So, and there's no better opportunity than now,
Right.
if you're listening, to begin now.
Yeah.
So that you can begin to participate with the story that God has for you.
Yeah. That's great advice. Thanks for being here, Father Haggerty. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Next week, I'm not sure who we're going to have in, so we'll see what the Holy Spirit brings us. If you are not following us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, you can find us there. You can see all of our episodes of Catholic Views and Biblical Bites with Dr. B on YouTube at SF Diocese. That is it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.